Clara sat in the quiet of their living room, sipping her tea, the soft hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the house. It was a rare moment of peace in a life that had been anything but serene. Her husband, Mark, had been distant lately, always on his phone, always working late, but there had been no real explanation. The little things had started to add up, the tension between them becoming unbearable. Yet, they never spoke of it directly, as if pretending it wasn't happening would make it go away. As Clara's gaze wandered across the room, she noticed a glint of gold on the table. Her eyes narrowed, and she stood up. It was a gold watch, one she had never seen before. Its surface gleamed in the afternoon sunlight, and there, engraved into the back, was an inscription, Elke. Her stomach churned. She picked it up, turning it over in her hands. The engraving wasn't for her. She was certain of that. For a moment, she thought about asking Mark about it when he came home, but something held her back. She had a sinking feeling that she already knew the answer. Clara's mind raced. Elke, could it be someone from his past? He had never mentioned anyone with those initials. But that didn't mean much. There were parts of his life that were a mystery, areas he never shared with her, and she'd always accepted that. They were two different people, after all, with their own histories. But this watch felt like a betrayal. She placed it back down on the table, carefully positioning it so it didn't look out of place. Her hands trembled slightly, her thoughts whirling. Was this just an innocent gift? Was it possible he had bought it for himself? But she knew better. She needed answers. Clara couldn't let it go. She'd never been the type to pry, but this was different. This was a crack in their relationship that she couldn't ignore. When Mark came home that evening, Clara pretended to be absorbed in her book, but her eyes flickered toward the watch. He didn't seem to notice her gaze as he hung up his coat and made his way into the kitchen. He was as distant as ever, his movements rushed as he went about his routine. She waited a moment longer, steeling herself, then spoke, her voice tight. "Mark," she began, watching him closely. "Where did this watch come from?" Mark froze, his hand still gripping the refrigerator door. He turned slowly, his eyes flickering to the table. The silence stretched between them like a thick fog. He cleared his throat, not meeting her eyes. "Oh, that? I picked it up the other day at an antique store. Thought it looked cool." His tone was casual, but Clara could hear the subtle edge of tension in his voice. She didn't believe him for a second. She stood up, her hands clenched at her sides. "Who is Elke?" Mark's face went pale. "What?" "The initials," she said, her voice hardening. "Who is Elke?" His eyes shifted, and for the first time, Clara saw a flash of panic in them. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then closed it again, looking down at the floor. Clara took a step closer, her heart pounding. "Mark, I'm not stupid. I know something's been off for weeks. You've been hiding something from me." Mark exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. "Clara, it's not what you think. I can explain." "Explain?" Clara laughed bitterly. "Explain what? That you've been seeing someone else? Is that what this is about?" Mark's face twisted in pain, but he didn't deny it. It's complicated," he murmured. Clara's breath hitched as the weight of the truth crashed down on her. Her hands trembled, and for a moment, she was frozen in place. The realization that her husband had been unfaithful hit her like a physical blow, and she could barely stand to look at him. "Complicated?" she repeated, her voice trembling. "What could be so complicated that you couldn't just tell me the truth?" Mark took a deep breath, his eyes full of regret. He moved closer, as if trying to reach out to her, but she stepped back, shaking her head. "Who is she, Mark?" He hesitated, his voice faltering. "Her name's Laura, from my work. We had an affair a while ago, and I was trying to end it. But," he trailed off, his face contorting with guilt, "I kept seeing her. I'm sorry, Clara. I didn't want to hurt you." Clara's world seemed to tilt on its axis. She could feel the tears pricking at the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had spent years with this man, trusted him, loved him, and now everything was shattered. So all this time, I've been living a lie, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You've been lying to me, and I was just too blind to see it. Mark's eyes welled with tears as he stepped toward her again, but Clara backed away, her heart aching with the weight of his betrayal. I never wanted to hurt you, he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't want you to find out like this. I thought I could just end it and move on, but I kept messing up. Clara's hands were shaking now, and she gripped the edge of the table for support. You should have ended it long before this, Mark. You should have told me the truth. A heavy silence filled the room, and for the first time in a long while, Clara wondered if they could ever rebuild what had been broken. She turned her back on him, walking slowly toward the door. I need space. I can't do this right now. Mark didn't follow her. He knew she needed time to process the betrayal. As Clara stepped into the bedroom, she glanced back one last time, seeing him standing there, a man torn between the woman he had wronged and the life they had shared. Clara closed the door behind her, her heart breaking. The watch would never be just a trinket to her now. It would always be a reminder of the moment her life had changed forever.